Alright, usually when I'm making a video, I'm trying to make some type of point, but my only point here is that this Warriors situation is very interesting and something I don't think we've ever quite seen before. First of all, just the point guard dynamics between Steph Curry and Chris Paul and how all that's going to be a little bit more complicated when Draymond gets back. Now, it's pretty clear to me that it's going to be Steph and Dre and Clay and CP3. And the stat to back that up is Chris Paul has 22 assists in 2 games, by the way. Again, how is Draymond gonna feel about that? But 22 assists in 2 games, and 9 of those have gone to Clay, only 1 of those to Steph so far. Again, I'm not making any declarations, I just find this all a little bit interesting because it's not like he hasn't played with Steph. He's played with Steph quite a bit. In both of these games, he started and closed with Steph. Steph has taken 39 shots already and only 1 assist from Chris Paul. Just interesting. We also have back-to-back games of the Warriors not necessarily executing down the stretch of a game. Yes, they ended up winning the game against the Kings, but they were outscored 12-5 in the last 3 minutes or so. And almost all of that 3 minutes was Chris Paul handling the ball, which you understand from Steve Kerr's perspective. You're leading kinda big. There's not really any player in the NBA besides LeBron you want to manage that lead. I told you guys earlier Chris Paul had 22 assists on the season. I didn't mention he only has 1 turnover to go with that. Steph Curry only has 5 assists on the year and he has 6 turnovers to go with that. I'm just lost with this team right now. There's so much up in the air on a night-to-night basis and we haven't even seen Draymond with this team yet. And I know I'm rambling because I just watched the game and I have a lot of thoughts about this team, but then you have the Clay and Wiggins factor where they're both still pretty good players, and especially in Wiggins' case, you wouldn't expect a physical decline, but the effort definitely hasn't been there since the 22 playoffs. And then you look at the way Moody's playing and the way Kuminga's playing, and it's like, how much rope do these guys have? I know Kuminga closed game 1 as probably a message to Andrew Wiggins to get his stuff together, but really, if Kuminga's better than Wiggins, is he gonna play more than Wiggins? Is it gonna be that scenario, or is Wiggins already kind of grandfathered in? We know that's the case with Clay. I don't think there's anything Moody can do to play over Clay. Same way there was nothing Jordan Poole could possibly do to play over Clay, and 2 completely different type of players. And I have more questions about the front court. Is Trayce Jackson-Davis gonna play? Is Looney guaranteed minutes? I have a lot of questions about this team, especially again when Draymond comes back. But I guess the one thing we have learned from these 2 games with the Warriors is they are a pretty deep team. And they're also a positionless team. Pretty much besides Chris Paul and Kevon Looney, every other player on the team can play at least 2 positions, which in some ways is going to make it a lot easier for Steve Kerr, and on the other hand, it's going to make it a lot more difficult, because no matter what, we have someone else on the team that can play your position a little bit. Let's just look at Clay, for instance. If he's stinking it up and Steve Kerr feels the need to pull him, he could pull him for Kuminga, he could pull him for GP2, he could pull him for Moody. We've heard Steve Kerr say that Clay is going to play backup for us sometimes. So you know what, maybe we'll even put in Dario Saric. Now, I'm not saying these things are gonna happen. I doubt Clay is gonna be benched. My overall point, like I said earlier, I'm not here to make any statements, any proclamations, any declarations. I'm just very interested in this team and how it plays out. And not only this year, how it affects next year. There's a world where Clay's not on this team next year. There's a world where Clay's not on this team and Wiggins isn't a starter next year. When I said we've never seen this before, that was my overall point. We have 1 solidified starter of this team going forward. It's really just 1. It's usually 1 superstar with an all-star next to him surrounded by okay players, or a superstar with another superstar, or a superstar with a bunch of bad players. And amongst those bad players, you have a couple players with high potential. But in this situation, the players with high potential are on the bench. Clay, Wiggins, Draymond, and Chris Paul trying to hold on to their prime years while you have young guys trying to fight for a starting spot. And in the case of Kuminga, you have a guy trying to fight for that second option spot on this team because it is wide open. I guess I'll end this video and end my rambling by just saying this Warriors season could go a lot of different ways. I could see it all working out, and you have one of the deepest teams in the league. Steph Curry has an MVP type of season. I predicted Steph Curry would win MVP. But it could also go the other way very easily with everything going on with this team, as I just explained. If Klay Thompson in the contract year is getting benched for Moses Moody, something probably won't happen, but you can make a case some nights it might be the right move some nights. We've seen Draymond Green get benched kinda in a finals game for Kevon Looney, And after the game, he said he would have been extremely mad if they lost that. How is Draymond gonna take potentially being benched for a Jonathan Kuminga to close a game? Like, we think everything's just gonna be fine. I don't see that unless they are winning. So I'm gonna be locked into almost every Warriors game this season. There's a lot more I want to talk about between the dynamic of Draymond and Chris Paul, but we might as well wait till we see that on the court. It seems like it's gonna happen pretty soon. But let me know what you guys are thinking about this Warriors team. And I know we're only 2 games in for most teams, but let me know what you've been liking so far, things that are surprising you, what you've been disappointed by. All that down in the comments below. I'm out. Peace.